The mules are in the corral. Welcome to Mule Talk, and I'm Cindy K. Roberts, your host.
I'm very excited about this next podcast. We're going to be doing a series of podcasts with the world-renowned Meredith Hodges from the Lucky 3 Ranch. She is known to be a breeder and a mule trainer for 40-plus years, an author, a judge, an animal inspector, and a representative of the Donkey and Mule Society. We have been talking throughout the interview when the Lucky 3 Ranch went through a power outage. We're going to pick up in the conversation where Meredith explains how she trained her mules to come to the gate.
Meredith, hello.
Hi, our power went out.
I was like, oh no.
I have no lights right now.
Oh.
And this phone, I'm surprised this phone is even working.
Okay,
But,
we can end this pretty soon. I got you up to where you said, and when you were getting ready to go through the gate, you know.
Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and finish that thought. So when we go through the gates, they learn how to do these gates exactly the same way all the time. So when I have a bunch of mules in the pen, they're all used to coming to me when I call them because I never chase them. And so they will all come to the gate, and then I go ahead and I ask them, Lance, I want you. And then he will come to the gate, and I go, the rest of you, get back. I want you to get back. And I'll open the gate, and Lance will come through the gate, turn around, stand in front of me, and wait for his halter to be put on.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and that's how I catch my animals. I never chase them, and I never have to, and they all behave like this. And it's just been, because I go through these steps with them all the time,
That is good.
and do everything exactly the same way. And so getting back to Equus Revisited, I talk about that and how important it is to break these things down into little steps. And I have continued to keep diaries about everything that I'm doing. And my most recent, I rescued 2 draft mules back in 2010, rock and roll.
Yes.
And I used these same techniques to rehabilitate the worst case scenario on these draft mules. They had ring bone. They had side bones. One of them turned out, Rock ended up having a completely shattered hip joint.
Yeah.
And going through these same exercises, I was able to prove that this approach undeniably is a therapeutic approach to building your animal's body in good equine posture at the very core. And they proved this works. It's not teaching your animal how to follow you or anything like that. This is truly a postural therapeutic approach to training. And so I had tremendous success with them. I did lose Rock after a year because he did have a completely shattered joint. But I did also in that year get him completely sound at the walk and trot, even with a shattered hip and no medications.
Wow.
We only had him on Butte 2 times when he had a couple bouts of laminitis, and it was only for 5 days each time.
Okay.
But finally, the ligament that was holding his leg together let loose, and I had to put him down. But I got 9 years out of Roll, and Roll had 3 feet with ring bone and side bones in all 3 of those feet. And I got him to where I was able to actually ride him at walk and trot. Is that beeping bugging you?
No, I don't hear any beeping.
Oh, good. Well, that's good, because it's beeping in my office, and this is the only phone that's been on. but yeah, so anyway, so I thought, well, we've got the rock and roll thing, and I wrote the articles about them. Mm-hmm. And then I decided that I wanted to do a video about it 3 years ago. But I got into a lot of stuff with production companies and we weren't getting it done. And so I parted with them in 2017. And my crew and I just finished putting that together. And we're going to launch that video on September 1st about rock and roll.
Oh, wow. And, cool.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. But in the meantime, I took on another donkey that needed rescuing, per se.
I saw that on your website.
Yeah, that's Chastity's Challenges is the latest series of articles. And Chastity is coming along really well. And I was really happy to be able to do this because the draft mules were mules. But people were asking me, they say, oh, well, you have to train a donkey differently than you do have to train a mule. Well, not with my approach, you don't. I am using the same approach on Chastity that I have used on all of my mules, all of my horses, miniature all the way to draft. They all eat the same, get trained the same, and they all behave the same, and they are all just perfect little gentlemen and gentle ladies. And I am now 70 years old, and I am so glad that they are as polite and considerate and in good posture as they are.
Yes.
it was just amazing, you know. I mean, in my earlier years, I was getting bucked off, run over, and all of these other things, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to use horse training techniques, you know, and I had to figure out that just wasn't going to work. If I keep getting older like this, I'm going to get hurt.
Right.
And you know what? I'll tell you what, in my whole mule and donkey and horse career, I have never broken a bone. The only time that I broke a bone, I broke my ankle, and it was because my house was in construction, and the contractor put an extension cord across the doorway, and I tripped on it.
Oh, that's a shame.
But my mules and donkeys, they've all done great. And at one point here, not too long ago, I was assessing where I was at. Well, actually, it was about 10 years ago. I was going, oh, man, I've done all the groundwork on these 10 mules I've got that were younger, but they're not younger anymore. They're like 12 years old, and I haven't ridden them yet.
Oh,
you know?
No.
And so I got on them, and I rode them, and they did everything perfectly because of the groundwork they did. I didn't have to be riding them. And I did, and their cores were good, their bodies were good, they carried me really nice, they did everything I wanted them to do, and I determined that all I would have to do to show them is put in maybe 3 months of both training, both muscle training, and they'd be ready to show. Every one of them.
That's phenomenal. That is just amazing. Now, are you taking in any outside mules at this time?
I don't do that anymore because as a trainer, I used to do that, and I found that mules and donkeys bond very strongly, more so than horses even. Although the horses are the same, they bond to the person who trains them.
Yeah.
And what happens is that you may train some animals for people, and then they take them home, and they don't know what you know.
Right.
And they expect the animal to be able to retain the training when the animal needs ongoing, continuing education, just like I did. That's why I kept my dressage trainer all those years, because I needed to continue to improve, and I needed my training that I already had reinforced to be able to do it. And so at that point, when I got to that realization, I decided that it was important for me to train people how to train their own animals. And so that's what I do. I stopped taking people's animals in training, and I decided that I would just train them how to train their own animals. At the same time, I realized that a lot of people don't have the money to go out and buy all my books and videos. So I kept the prices low on them. And then I built my website not as a storefront, but as a research center, where I just keep posting all this information that I can.
Yeah.
I charge a very, very low fee for some of it, but most of it, like the training tips, are all free. And they all, they all represent everything that's in the books and videos. I don't leave anything out. Those training tips are exactly like my 2 blue manuals, Training Without Resistance and Equine Management and Donkey Training. And those 2 manuals are just a text version of the videotapes 1 through 10, so that people don't have to go back in their houses and look at the videotape to see what was in it. And they have a lot of extra information in them as well. So my products overlap, but they don't repeat. And my website just reinforces everything that's in my books and videos and will help to get people started if they can't afford to buy the books and videos.
That's very, very, very good of you. And that's what I admire about you. So if anybody, what is your website, Meredith?
My website is at www.lucky3ranch.com, all spelled out, not the number 3. And you will also notice at the bottom of the page there's a button that goes to our children's website, jasperthemule.com, because that was another challenge that I realized that kids are the future. And so they need to get started with their animals in a good way too, and learn how to manage their animals in a nice, polite way. And so that is the point of the books that I do. They teach a lot about history and holidays that are associated to history, but also they teach how to handle the animals in a polite and considerate way to get the best from your animals, with these characters, Jasper the Mule and his buddy Moxie.
I like that. That's all good stuff. And is there a phone number if somebody wanted to get a hold of you at the Lucky 3 Ranch?
If you would like to get a hold of me at the Lucky 3 Ranch, you're welcome to call 1-800-816-7566.
That is wonderful. Meredith, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on today. And we're going to talk again because there's just so much to learn from you about the mule industry. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Well, and I appreciate you too, and I'm happy to do it.
This week's episode of Mule Talk has been brought to you by Metal Art by Sandy.
The perfect gift for your mule friends is Metal Art by Sandy. Sandy has captured the beauty and unique style in all of her metal artwork. Sandy carefully handcrafts your metal art to the likeness of your mule, donkey, or horse. Orders are promptly created by Sandy, wrapped, and then shipped. Want a ranch sign crafted for your driveway or barn? Metal Art by Sandy. Go to metalartbysandy.com. Metal Art by Sandy is also on Facebook. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or a sponsor, send me an email, Cindy, C-I-N-D-Y, at everycowgirlsdream.com. Gotta go. My mule is looking for me.